all the paperwork. So if I'm doing paperwork,
like
I'm just
a
going to
fair amount, to be fair. Although, is that a wine rack behind you?
But these are all empty bottles.
Oh, right.
Nice and clear. But because they've got their interesting labels. Like this is like a 1982 Cleric Million.
Oh.
And let's see. Yeah, this is a 2005 Margot. So it's kind of like because the labels are interesting. My mum just keeps them there.
Well, do you know what? Speaking of interesting labels, I've got a beer bottle that endorses Goatsy.
Yes, you posted that on the chat, and I'm like, that's not what I thought about first. But like now that you said it, I can't unsee it, and that's the problem. So how have you all been? How have all you lot been?
Not bad, man. Not bad. It's been a long week, man.
Painting walls?
Did you say horse?
No, painting walls. Like
right.
You're fixing up your house.
Yeah, no, that was part of it, to be fair. But I've spent I shouldn't go into too much detail actually because we're recording. But like, there's just been like this pain in the arse at work for the last week.
Okay, fair enough. That's just like that's general stuff. Work is always going to be a bit of a pain.
Unfortunately, so man.
But don't worry, it's gonna be I said winter holidays. It's like if it's in school, but like, it's gonna be Christmas soon, or Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving soon, I guess.
Should you say prefer that one?
Or I mean, like the only thing I care about currently is if I can get when it hits Black Friday or Cyber Monday, and I can buy all those electronics and stuff for very cheap. I need to buy a vacuum cleaner, and I'm just can't be bothered to spend more than like 150 quid on it. And I'm like, could I get a fancier one, like one of them Samsung, Panasonic ones or whatever, like the ones that are like vacuum cleaners, but kind of like feel like it could be like a small motorbike. I could. But I don't want to.
Black Friday's like this week, right?
Isn't it? Isn't like the last Friday of the month, so it's gonna be the 24th.
Oh, so when's that? So the Friday after next, right?
Yes. Yes, very much so. So I think I'll wait for all that to do first.
Yeah, I must admit, man, I'm as much of a pain in the arse work has been this week. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that stuff now.
Do you not also do a lot of your like shopping stuff now for Christmas?
I always forget, to be honest. I just
fair, very fair.
Very much becomes a last minute rush.
It's still like it needs a lot of careful planning for me. And then I plan it well, and then I'm like, oh wait, I've got all these ideas, but I haven't bought anything. So that's my problem.
That's happened to me before. Yeah, it's absolutely. Oh yeah, this seems nice. Yeah, let's get that. Oh wait, I didn't buy it in time. The Amazon package is not gonna arrive.
No.
Let's see.
What are you nominating, Ben?
Sorry, what? I think you say something.
You're nominating.
Oh, am I nominating? Oh, actually, let me check the spreadsheet. Let me see what film deserves it.
Don't be swayed by Alec telling you that a good score is a bad score.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I just saw Emmanuel's score. I see why he was annoyed.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, I see why
Oh yeah.
you were annoyed. For me, that's a fairly okay score.
To be fair, that's a classic Emmanuel score.
That's true as well,
It's
right?
like he gave American Tail a fairly similar score, and Lost Boys a very, very similar score, and Bram Stoker's Dracula just as bad.
One,
And Phoebe,
one
well,
brief
worse.
reference, I had
But-
8.3 as an average, and now I've got 8.2 as an average. Thank you.
Which is also quite good.
You also give us
Pissed off with a
like
9 as
same
well.
score.
Sorry, a 7.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it could be worse, but it could be better.
Everyone scored Sorcerer a 7. You wouldn't go, oh, it's positive.
I was fine with Sorcerer's School. I had no problem with it.
Yeah, because none of them was 7s.
Yeah, they
Wait,
were.
what was Sorcerer about again?
Sorcerer scored lower than this.
Yeah, the truck across.
Oh, the truck. That one.
It got
Yeah.
one. It got one bad score from Simon.
Yeah, that's because I couldn't get like the proper version or version that wasn't like extremely quiet with like no subtitles, which is why I bought.
Oh, wait for it. Wait for
The
it.
Blu-ray. Oh,
The source of all the problems.
The source.
and,
Oh,
but
really?
now that I've got the Blu-ray, I've got to find time to actually watch it again. I go, okay, now I've watched it. Maybe I'll give it a better score. Maybe.
You might see more things that go like, actually, not lower. I'm just kidding.
That's mean.
Did they? Sorry to talk about that, but did they? Why did he name it the Sorcerer? Because it was like just before Jaws, right?
It would have been after Jaws, I think. Maybe
Well,
2 years
no.
after Jaws.
So Steven Spielberg. It is Steven Spielberg, right?
No, it's William Friedkin.
Yeah, Exorcist guy.
Oh, which guy?
He did The Exorcist.
Oh yeah, man,
know
he
that
was for the
comedy?
shop. The stuff he was doing. I mean, not that was bad. I mean, like in genres and stuff. I guess technically, they're all impending doom.
Well, his kind of like rationale for it was something to do with like fate being like the ultimate sorcerer. But I think really that was just him trying to justify the studio going like, no, we want to market this as a horror film.
Oh, sorry. You know what I mixed this up with? Now I realize what film The Sorcerer was. This is why I was so confused. What's the first film we watched about a truck that?
Oh, Jewel.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
I said truck, but neither of them were sentient. Let's get that clear.
Jewel was Spielberg's first film. That was before Jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. That's why Simon, when you said you bought it, I was thinking he bought Jewel. Why? It's like, he might
That
love
would
the
have been a
score.
thing I could have searched for when I was like out about in HMV and stuff. I could have actually searched for that, but I was like, I was passing by and I thought, oh, Sorcerer. Oh, I can finally understand what the hell they're saying and probably maybe enjoy the movie. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see eventually. But it's like I'll give it a rewatch. After I get all this paperwork done, I could probably
Yeah.
give it a rewatch if I really needed to. But we'll see.
Your Blu-ray
We'll
is
see.
nicer than mine, Simon. That's my cover.
Oh, weird.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
this-
Oh, to be fair,
Yeah, I prefer yours, I think.
I think both covers are reversible. You know, check inside. You can reverse it.
Hang on.
I
All
know
right.
one of them.
Holy shit! Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So do you
That's
have
the
the
inside.
orange one? Yeah, you do have the orange
Give me
one.
a sec.
oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So yeah,
Um.
so that's the. Sure, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
I was going to say that's like the studio trying to get people's money out of them
Yeah.
because like, oh wait, you can buy multiple versions with a different cover. Oh wait, it's the same version just flipped by whoever.
Oh
said
yeah, it actually is reversible. Damn, you're absolutely right. That's cool. I didn't realize that.
That's crazy.
I do love a reversible cover, I must admit. That's what I love about Arrow, is that they're always reversible.
That's so cool.
About Arrow.
Does it say 40th
Arrow film.
anniversary collector's edition?
Because what Arrow tend to do, which I really like, if I just find like a random one, so like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, for example. So I always turn it round so that you get the original poster, but they always sell it with an alternative poster. So if I take the disc out, you can see it a bit better.
Cool.
Yeah, so they always sell it with like a new alternative poster. But yeah, I always turn it round so that it's the original.
Yeah, that's great having the option, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the thing I would say, Simon, about the Sorcerer, whereas the acting and production were great. I mean, they took some risk as well. That director, I say risk, financial risk maybe, and some other stuff. But point is, it had. I think it could have been even better. I think I wasn't the biggest fan of like the story writing, but otherwise,
Well, I feel like I had technical difficulties. Is the reason one of the reasons that I didn't give it as high a score that I could have. If I could understand, like literally understand what the hell they were saying, right? I could have probably enjoyed the movie more, but I
Yeah.
couldn't. So yeah, that's like technical difficulties. It's like I know when I do probably choose another movie that is on Apple, and it would definitely give me at least 2 points lower than he would, even if he enjoyed the movie.
I just get you straight ones. That's it.
definitely
You're out.
a watch when you get a chance, because it again the production and acting is really good. Yeah.
So before we continue, is Pat joining us today?
Yeah, he's waiting for his laptop to boot up again.
Okay.
Well, as we're doing that, I'm going to go for a slice.
Oh, what pizza have you got?
The Big New Yorker from Pizza Hut. It's the like Ninja Turtle like crossover one.
Oh, nice.
Oh, the Secret of the Ooze is on it.
It's called. I know it's called Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
I need to put this in your phone. Please help me remember. All right, I'm going and use my phone as, what was I going to say? Do my phone as the webcam again. See if this works.
What are you using then? All right.
Oh, you remember how? Oh, here's the charger. It was on the pillow. Kitchen. You remember? There's been twice so far. I managed to use my phone as like the webcam.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the back of it on the computer. So I'm gonna try and do the same thing now, and hopefully I do it without messing.
Ben, have you come to a decision?
Oh, about the old noms.
Yeah.
Oh, num.
The nominations.
Oh,
I'll be asking yours next.
So what I could say it's either it's either pissing Alec off or
If it
pleasing Alec.
If it helps at all, I'm already pissed off. So
I reckon you should nominate Poltergeist, mate.
I can't nominate my own film. If I could, I would.
Hey, man, we make the rules.
Wait, if that's the case, I'm going to go for American Tail just to even it out there. Right? That's not how that works.
Well, if I had nominated half
you can
of my,
cut a deal with
like,
Simon and swap one.
No, there's no collusions.
have I already nominated one?
no,
What's the choices?
you got Basil the Mouse Detective, American Tail, Lost Boys, Blade, Poltergeist, or this?
Hmm. There were quite a few good films, to be honest. I mean, American Tail. This is Good Heart. Poltergeist.
Blade had Blade.
Yeah.
I like the Blade and the lady in it. That was cool. And the Poltergeist. I mean, gotta give respect to the mom. She went. That family went through it.
Don't get me started.
Huh?
Don't get me started.
I think I would have to give mine to American Tail because what it was representing, the little things that it kind of did in relation to like what really happened and whatnot. I thought that was good. I thought, yeah, I think that deserved it.
A very worthy pick.
Whose pick was that?
Mine.
The one.
Yeah.
Quite well, Richard.
That has almost doubled your nomination score for this whole year, Simon.
Wow.
I say, I feel like this film is probably like the highest scoring I've ever got with nomination points as
It
well.
might be. It's probably the most nominated. You've probably got more nominations than John's ever got, actually.
Yeah, he has.
That's yeah, but John has one of the like people who only have like the 8.8 scores on films, right? Because he's got Snatch, right?
He has got a Snatch.
I need to find a film that everyone goes, yeah, that's an 8.8. Then tank it completely by choosing another film that's like a 3.
The only nominations.
I actually have a few in mind, actually, but that's a next year problem.
The only nominations that John ever got were from The Truman Show, which I did, Bill and Ted, which Pat did, Princess Bride that I did, Austin Powers, which Pat did, and
that manual didn't finish.
Yeah, it's the only film that has ever had a did not finish.
Oh, no. The Power of Austin.
and Snatch did, which I did.
Will you actually ever watch that, like, or finish that, Emmanuel? Do you think?
I've watched it too many times before, like before, like it was picked, and I couldn't put myself through it again. I tried. I was just like, no. So I fast forwarded through most of it. And then,
Just watch it in like 1.5 speed, or maybe
Oh,
2
don't
times speed
suggest
for you.
that. That's the last thing we need.
It's so he can go. Oh man, at least I got through it. I guess.
I got through it enough times before like you guys picked it. I'm sorry. I did through it. I in a way I kind of watched it.
Oh, hey Pat.
Hey, oh, you're on your phone.
Yeah, my laptop's fucking being a dickhead tonight.
God damn.
Once it loads up, I'll move over, but it's a slow process.
Oh, like that.
That's all right.
Hello.
As you're here right now, I guess it's now time to say. So, Alec, why did you choose this film?
Hold on, you've not started yet.
We have started. We've recorded. We're starting recorded.
Oh my god. Go on. Sorry, Alec.
Nah, that's right. That was kind of fitting, to be fair. I picked this film in the hopes that you'd give it a rubbish score, and yeah, was not disappointed.
Finished on 8.1.
It's 8.4, mate. I'd say it's pretty well received. I've had some that have like
Round, and I thought, oh, I'll play it. You know, this is probably going to be good. This is like a surefire, pretty great. And then, oh fuck you.
oh my days.
And then somehow it's been torpedoed.
I mean, 8 is still good. I mean, I would love an 8.
Oh, it's probably fine for you guys. Ah.
We're in dangerous waters when 8.1 is something to be upset about.
It's a really good film, and I don't agree with 8.1, but that's fine.
Alec is happy with 8.1 as long as it's not his film. It has to be 0.9 otherwise.
Depends on the film.
He really loves this film, I think.
I do.
I didn't really think this was an Alec film.
Because it had Russell Crowe in it.
Yes, kind of.
It did scream this is an Alec pick. I'd say more of a Ben pick, if anything.
No, I'd gone like a very long time without of being like aware of it, without ever seeing it in its entirety. And then my dad recommended it to me this year, and I was like, "Oh right, I'll sit down and I'll actually watch it the whole way through." And I was really afraid it was going to be really like flag shaggy and just on Britain's dick, and it kind of isn't that like at all. And I thought it was quite a nice sort of line to walk for it. And yeah, I was really, really impressed with like the dynamic between Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany. Or because I don't want to help Rob's point, Jack Aubrey and Dr. Stephen. I thought it was really thoughtful, really, really interesting, really natural. And to anyone who's given production an 8, like, you know, what you do? What you do? I'd like to see you go and film on a fucking galleon. Bet you can't.
You cut out there, man.
I said I'd like to see if you could film something on a fucking galleon in the middle of the fucking ocean, but I don't think you could. Okay. Productions out of this fucking world. They made all the actors not brush their fucking teeth, and that's why all their teeth look jacked up. Yeah, that's a lot of thought went into production. If you put 8 for production, you're fucking stupid. No.
That sounds like endangerment. I gave it a 9, by the way. But
they probably did get them to brush their teeth, and they just put something on them. It's a film after all. They probably don't want to give them all scurvy, but you know,
it's definitely false teeth. Don't worry.
Yeah. Still, Ben, have you chosen your nomination point yet? For fuck's sake.
yeah.
I asked you this at the start, so you'd have time for deliberation.
Well, I've been thinking about it for like a week, so it's not an easy choice.
Okay, well, opening statement. Not you. You keep on this. You get back.
What about if I chose Basil the Great Mouse Detective? How about that?
That'd be completely fine with me. Would you like to Basil the Great Mouse Detective?
Yes, because I think it's got a bit forgotten.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a bit of a fish hook, which is interesting. Because it originally it was like we need to boost an American Tail because of that bloody Basil, and then we all boosted an American Tail.
Yeah, and now
Basil's the victim.
All right.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. My laptop finally booted up.
Oh, cool.
Congratulations, man.
A mere 35 minutes after I turned it on.
I can see why you get annoyed with it.
Would,
Yeah,
would you,
piece of shit.
You
you
need
like-
a laptop, mate.
No shit.
you
Would
like
But an SSD was more important though.
I do have a discount on laptops if you need a hand on one.
Oh, because of your
Nah.
job.
Yeah.
That's quite nice.
No, my thrilling.
I think the
personality.
laptop's more important.
At the minute, it's
I don't know, man. It might just be a hobby. Just you go around collecting coupons. I don't know, man.
I collected so many coupons. I now just have a discount just in general.
Yeah, they don't ask me for the code anymore.
man. I'm looking at Simon now, and I haven't seen this film, but it looks like he's part of Office Space.
You haven't seen Office
Oh.
Space?
Nah,
Oh God.
you know what to do, Rob.
Yeah, it's another one that I've been threatening to pick since we started.
I don't know what film that is either.
Oh,
Oh,
Emmanuel,
do
you're
it, man.
tempting me. This
Well,
is what happened
like-
with Lost Boys.
Yeah. Scanner and a baseball bat, and just. Oh, wait, is it a printer and a baseball bat? I can't remember.
I think it's a fax machine actually. That's how long ago it was.
Okay. Well, I mean, the main point is the baseball bat, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's all talk about a Rob film. We all like those, don't we?
To get back
you
onto
you
point-
finished above me this round.
We all have big erection for politics.
but But
pretty
to
sure
get
you
back
got
on
more
point-
than me
more
as
than me
well.
this round.
Let's have a look.
this film
Don't give those.
I haven't watched before. I didn't realize it was. I knew it was around the Napoleonic Wars, right? And I thought it was going to be British, as in it's going to be about, as they had called him Lord Nelson. I thought it was going to be all right. There's a story there, and it's going to be like his like tales of him fighting in Trafalgar. I was like, all right, that's where it was going to go. And this is not what I expected from this film. Because I thought it was going to be like, I'll build up, epic battle scene at the end, he dies, and it's going to be very like, very patriotic, but still kind of like based in history. This is not really based in history. This is kind of like mostly made up stories
It was much
about the
better.
Galapagos.
It was inspired, but
Yeah.
I'll get into that in a bit.
Okay, I'll give you that as well. But it's just like I watched it, I was like, I'm not quite at first. I was watching, I was like, okay, there's the action, there's kind of an action, there's a lot of action in the beginning, but it's slow paced. Then afterwards it's kind of like marooned and not marooned, sorry, becalmed. And I was like, then it goes back into more action. I was like, oh right, I see. This is actually not just like a set piece of a story. This is actually just like life as a actual boatman, seaman person as in the army. And I was like, in the army, in the navy. And I was like, oh, I see where the stories is going for. It's got the narrative isn't about a big like epic tale. It's about the people and the interactions there. And I thought if I change my like viewpoint of it, and I can see, oh yeah, because you have Jack, then you have Aubrey, then you have like the troubles with Holman. Or is that how you pronounce his name? It's like Hollon. Yeah, let's say Holman. And like his sort of like thing that made him want to commit suicide. And it's like, oh, right, I see like the problems of being at sea. And I was like, that's a fair enough thing. I kind of got where the story was. There's certain parts that made me go, I feel like that wouldn't actually work in real life. Maybe it would, but it seems very circumstantial. But that we'll get back into that later. I was like, well, I mean, what else? I mean, who else thinks about this film? What else is everyone's opinion?
It good.
Okay.
My statement is mainly just like what was I gonna say? this isn't my type of film. That's what it is. And and maybe you guys can help with this later, but I kind of struggled with the purpose of this film. Because I get why they changed certain things from the original story, which isn't really that exciting. And instead of the French, it was the American, and some things happen in different orders. Like it was inspired, but I was just kind of like, oh, okay, oh, oh, he got shot. Well, that guy has terrible aim. He should be some. Okay, uh, I just, I guess I wasn't too. I was kind of moved, but at the same time, I was just the whole time I was just like, think, what's that channel? Um, there's an animation channel that says like how it should have ended. That's it. And I just imagine uh, the captain going, "Yeah, you're right. Let's go home." And then that was the end of the film. Anyway, that's my opening statement. But yeah, I'll be interested to hear more about like certain other parts of the film because I only know the true event that happened that inspired this. But that's about it.
Yeah.
Go on
I
then.
don't know. I didn't even. I'm not even like against it. Like I don't know. It's not my type of film at all. Like I'm not really into the whole like period drama kind of thing, and like the sort of the posh accents and the sitting around the table telling stories to one another kind of thing. Like it doesn't do a lot for me. But what I did like, I think the absence of flag shagging was quite nice. I think the way that it was all kind of like the sort of center of the whole thing was the friendship between the two of them. That was quite nice as well. Like all of the moments where there was like a bit of downtime and it was just them hanging out. Even though I didn't find the Weevils pun very funny, like all of those moments where they're just hanging out, and like I love it when they're just like having a little jam together. Like that's really nice. And I like probably my favourite scene actually is the one where Paul Bettany is just like looking at the animals through his binoculars or whatever, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that iguanas don't swim except for that one. That's weird." Like that whole thing was quite nice. But yeah, I don't know. Like this kind of thing always leaves me a little bit cold. Yeah, it's a lot of it's down to personal preference, but there's a lot to like about it. I guess I just didn't find it like very memorable. Like the whole thing with them hanging out and the friendship between them, that was all cool. I'm not sure like how much of it's gonna stay with me though. Take your 7 and go.
My
Oh,
actual
dear.
reason for picking this was as an answer to Gladiator, kind of, because everyone was like, "How come you don't like Gladiator?" And I was like, "Here's a Russell Crowe film that I can use to illustrate why I don't think much of Gladiator." And in this one, I sort of forget that he's Russell Crowe at times. He doesn't win, arguably, like ever, despite the fact he's quite good at things. Everything's always working against him. There's not a lot of action in it, but like there is an awful lot of character, and there's a lot of, despite posh accents. There's actually there's a lot of dynamics at play, like that I think are very interesting, and I think you get a lot of dimensions from them, which none of which I can say about that. So I don't even know what you want anymore. I don't even know what you want from me, honestly. You're gonna give a 5 point whatever to Gladiator, and you're gonna give this less than 2 more 4.
I don't know, man. That's a decent difference. I saw a review on Letterboxd where it was like, "Oh, my mum fell asleep my mum fell asleep after the first 5 minutes and woke up for the last 10." And to be fair, it does drag a bit, but that's only because the 2 cannon battles at the start and end are brilliant. And I was like, well, I don't know. I feel like that's missing the point a bit. Like, I don't. If the thing that you took from it is that the cannon battles were good, I feel like you missed quite a lot. But like I said, I'm not sure it's one that's going to stay with me for very long.
Ben? Hello.
Okay, good.
Thank you. May
Well, it's one that I did like for a while. I mean, maybe a while is not probably the right way of saying it. I saw it like about 10 years ago on TV once, and I was like pleasantly surprised. But recently I saw it again, and I realized how good it was. Much like Alec did when there's fireworks going on in the background, by the way, annoyingly.
That's the fucking drum. What is happening?
But when maybe you should come back to me when you've bloody stopped. But if I can like time it, right? Oh, they've stopped now. Okay.
I really like
so-
Masters of the Commander.
So yeah, when I watched it like last year, I was like, okay, this is a really good, unusual period drama, because obviously most of us here, period dramas aren't really our thing. It's not my thing.
No, probably more me than anyone else.
But-
I mean, there's the arguable point, because technically Harakiri and all them samurai films are period
Yeah.
dramas, but
There's
everyone
period
loves
dramas.
those. So that's arguable there.
There's period dramas and there's period dramas. So
Well,
Okay, fine,
you gotta
if you wanna
think-
put it that way.
And this is
I think I've picked 2 in terms of Gladiator and Braveheart.
But I don't. 'Cause I think they're more. I think it's more the era, because they're going way back in history. They're historical dramas. So I think there's a difference.
Maybe.
So
I think that's the thing for me, like just to like pick up on the period drama thing really, because like technically like Pride is a period drama, because
Yeah.
like if you go by like the very like technical definition of it, but it's this kind of thing where it's like it's a certain point in history where for some reason we've just decided that everyone speaks in a certain way and everyone behaves in a certain way, and like everyone has this kind of like, I don't know, like sort of like aristocratic air about them. I don't know. I find it all a bit weird.
It's probably because they were like higher ups in British society, so they were a bit.
But it's always like the same kind of like, it's the behaviour. I think like there's always that sort of like private school self assuredness to it, and it always it's not that every character is always the same character, but because they've always got that, it feels like they're all riffing off the same template, if that makes sense.
But that was the time period, so
So-
yes.
Well, I don't know if it was though, because that's what I'm saying. Like we've decided that that's what everyone was like for some reason, and I'm sure
Well, I
that's
mean-
not the case.
Well, if they're from the same society, but like the sailors who are also there are not talking like that, then I don't know.
So
Maybe-
you cut out the start
And like
of that.
arguably in history, it's because after this period, after the French Revolution, things started to change. So I mean, historically speaking, it kind of is correct because of like the way that all of them are brought up during that period of time. French Revolution happens, then they go, actually, let's change it up a bit. But like during this particular time period, all of them are kind of like that because of like how it's all like set up in like what school you go to, what sort of like education you would have, and your opportunities you would have during like war efforts. So if that's, I mean, and essentially all that is kind of similar anyway, because it's like they called him like, again, this is going back here, they called him like Lord Nelson because he had lands and stuff. I mean, you could argue if they all spoke the same sort of accent as Paul Bettany or Russell Crowe, that's like one thing in itself. But like generally speaking, the like upbringing and like the fashions of the time are kind of similar to the other ones. So I would say it's not like what's say off-brand from what you would expect from this particular time period. Maybe it's just because we don't like this particular time period in itself because it's not as interesting as other sort of like time periods and stuff. Maybe that's it. If that's the case,
I think the thing is like because back then it would have been before everybody was like as connected as they are now, because you wouldn't have had things like the internet, the TV, and like lots of basic stuff that connects us now. So I think it's a really broad stroke to say that everyone would have behaved and spoken the same way.
I don't know. Like
But-
even between like Paul Bettany and Russell Crowe, like they have different accents and mannerisms and that, and then you have the other sailors and that, and they don't speak the same as everyone else either. Like it's like an education thing. Like they're like Paul Bettany's like a physician and Jack's a captain, and then the rest of the people who are in his inner circle are also quite educated. Whereas
No, but it's not necessarily everyone speaks the same in this, but like it's that kind of all of the kind of there's like archetypal behaviours in all of these films that are always the same. Like you always have like the Humphrey character, you always have like the captain who's got this like aristocratic personality. There's always these same types of characters in all of these type of films, and that's where it's always like I don't know. It just
I mean, in all seriousness, Rob, because though that's like you have those archetypes because those archetypes are part of their job, I guess, as in things in like in working in the ship. Because even if you was to go to what was it that I think it was Pat, you said you wanted to watch Pirates of the Caribbean, but then after if you compare it, you have characters that are there's the one drunken grumpy guy, there's the one that's overly superstitious, and you have the captain who's a bit weird but kind of like fancy speaking as well. And like all of those are archetypes for the characters for what their job is essentially in the ship. So if you have like I feel like that's because that's what the idea of the ship is. It's like your jobs and stuff, and because you're doing your job while you're on the sea, and you're in the sea for like months and months on end. You just kind of like get put into that like stereotype of your job. So again, I feel like that might be what it is. I'm not 100% sure, but that I feel like that's probably what you probably think is like, oh right, yeah, because he's got the like character of the scrub hand cleaning boy. So it's got like that. He's like he asks those weird questions and he hangs around all the captains like, do they seriously put the stitch through your nose to make sure you're still like awake or not? It's like that's a stereotype of the character because that's character is part of his job, and then afterwards his job is what he does because it's his job in the ship and his character in the ship. So I feel like it's stereotyped because of what the ship is or what the concept of the ship is.
But that's kind of what I'm saying, though, because like if you've got all of these sort of like stereotypical bases for characters, like would it not be more interesting to work out how else they might have been rather than this one kind of person that's portrayed in everything?
Well, then you would have not a naval movie. You would have space naval movie, or maybe something really out there like Muppets
I'm not
Treasure
saying you
Island.
have to take them to space. I'm just saying that like other kinds of people would have existed rather than these archetypes who are in everything.
Sorry,
let me think of how to. I don't know how to get my point across. I guess it's kind of like
if they don't have sense, you'd have Muppets.
Well, no, because like Muppet Treasure Island is like those are archetypes, but they're all again mixed up because again these are Muppets, they're not normal people, right? But it's a question of like what I mean is this, Rob. I feel like unfortunately for that time period, those archetypes are the same because for that time period, which was about 100 odd years. That's what they did for about 100 odd years, and that's kind of
what I'm saying though, because like we've got no record like sort of physical kind of like recordings and things like that of how they were. So it's like in sort of like film and theatre and whatever, we've decided that they speak and talk and act a certain way, and then everyone's just gone with it.
Yeah, but that's because that's true.
Sorry, can I have an example? Because I do not know what you're talking about.
All of these, like Poldark.
I can't mute. But just come onto the cat. No, come.
Wait, what?
What the hell's going on?
Well, okay, yeah, I thought, okay.
Oh wait, what's that? Can I say something just before I go on mute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, Rob, but also what I would say the only thing that okay, so most about what they act would have been very similar in the air that they carry because of how society was back at the time. And a lot of the writers and books and lots of stuff that we have from that time as well back up all that. One thing that might have been different was I can't remember from what year, but like the received English accent, received pronunciation. Yeah, by the 1800s, but before that, it might have been quite different. Around 1800s or the start of the 1800s, the accents might have been more different because we only really know from a certain point in time. But it would have been, I think, like kind of like what you were saying, it would have been more interesting creatively if they decided to go different from that. But because they tried to, in that way, stick more to the usual archetype of what most of them would have been like, because they had to act a certain way to fit in and make sure they could still be successful and keep the family in high regards, et cetera, et cetera. But I do get what you're saying. Like creatively, you don't have to do that, especially when it's something like this, which isn't based on a true story, it's inspired by a true story. You could do things differently, but they decided not to. So I get both points.
I think it's just that, like, because of all that stuff, I mean, you know, whether they choose to do things differently or not is like it's their choice, like whatever. But I think for me, it just makes it feel like there's just lots of the same kind of film, and yeah, I don't know, like it's sort of it's an aesthetic that I don't really get on with, and then when there's so much of it, it's like you kind of go and starting on a bad foot.
I see what your point is now. You just don't like the stylings or the set piece of the ship. It's kind of like, I feel like, because you think it all blurs together, don't you? It's kind of like saying cowboys are kind of like a whole nother set piece. I think are kind of like boring because you always have, you know, cowboys are always the same. For this, it's kind of like, yeah, people on the ships and pirates are all kind of similar. I think that's what you're trying to point. Your point is trying to get point, right?
It's kind of that, but I also question like why it's such a broad stroke, because I'm sure that different kinds of people would have existed back then. Like it's
well, let me. Yes, what you're saying is true, but that's not in Europe. That would be Caribbean, Asian, and Portuguese armies and navies.
No.
But that's a whole other
just
fucking
from
thing.
that point of view, like just because like so like you know how actually no, that's probably taking it a bit too far out there, but like, yeah, I don't know. I just think like the whole thing about how like everyone from a certain class would have spoken exactly the same way and behaved exactly the same way. Like it just, like I said, it seems like a very broad stroke for me, and
He cut off an and for me.
did I cut out there?
Yeah, I heard and then you cut
Yeah.
out.
So
Sorry.
what was I saying? So it was, yeah, because I always have it in the back of my mind where I'm going like, why is everybody from this class this certain way, and why is everybody from this class this certain way, and why do they all kind of like blend into one another? And I'm always thinking like, well, like what? Yeah, it's hard to get rid of that question at the back of my mind that's going like, where are the other people? Because they're all blended into one another.
I would say that is the trouble with society at that time. I think it's the only answer to your question. But apart from that, I don't know.
think that's the problem that we've made though, because I think there's kind of like a dramatic norm that we've created where everyone speaks and acts in this certain way if they're from this certain background, if they have this certain job. And I don't know how fair it is on people back then. Like,
I mean,
because I'm sure people just didn't like. I'm sure it wasn't just that we got to the 1900s and then everybody started acting differently.
yeah, but no, that's what I'm saying, Rob. It was the French Revolution. It was because of Napoleon that everyone went, actually, hang on, why don't we change up a bit? Because I feel like this is kind of bullshit. It was during that particular time period. Well, after this particular time period.
I wonder if that's just our perception of it because we haven't got any like recordings and stuff from that time period, and we've just decided on like quite a narrow view of it.
But Rob, you literally asked a very, very broad stroke question. It's like, what else was possible? I was like, maybe, I don't know. It's a hard question to answer, right? So it's like, I think to the best of the abilities, everyone's, as they said, broad strokes, because the finer details were kind of like, because it's so old, were kind of like, well, either shot down by other galleons and like stuff, and all that sunk into the bottom of the ocean. So there's no like 100% answer there because all of that's like debris now. So it's hard to say, but like there's probably more characters than the typical ones that are portrayed in movies. But because again, as you said, broad strokes, we've got the gist of it. And that's like why you are annoyed with it. But it's like there's no real answer for us, well, in this case, to answer your question. It's kind of saying it's a good enough idea for what it could be. But like if it's good enough for generally something that happened like over a few hundred years ago, it's all right, I guess. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. That's the only answer I can say. It's fine. It's been 200 years.
Point you both raised there, actually, for Rob and Simon, because it's kind of like when you see other foreign languages put into Hollywood films, it's like, well, this person's picking the French people in this film, or the Spanish people in that film, and the Italian people. Their accents to us would just sound Italian, French, or whatever. But probably if you asked an Italian person, oh wait, their accents are a bit like mundane and boring. Why are they all sound the same? Everyone's different. It's kind of like there's no nuance in that, because we know, as we are English people that have grown up in the UK, we know how much nuance there is to every person who lives here. So it's kind of like very broad strokes of like, this is this person, they're on this ship at this period of time, they're most likely to sound like this. So therefore we'll take this guesstimate that this is what they'll sound like. So I can get why they would do it that way. But I think for me, I would forgive it just because of how well the characters were done, because like Paul Bettany's character was, despite him being like a doctor and a surgeon, he had so much more so many more quirks than you would expect him to have on a naval ship like the one he was on. And even the Captain Jack, he had his little things that made him kind of like different than your usual captain. So I admire those things about it. And obviously, yeah, they could have done a bit more of an interesting execution in terms of like how mannerisms and dialect. But yeah, I think that's just kind of like, yeah, they could have done better there, but I would forgive it, even though I would notice that, oh, maybe he should have had a bit more of a Cockney twang, or maybe that guy should have spoke a bit more like a Geordie, for better or worse, maybe. But yeah, we don't know how they were back then, but I can see why the producers were like, let's just take a guesstimate and just make sure they just speak like proper English.
I think that's
just for the
probably
broader Hollywood audience across the world would understand that these guys know their shit and they're English. Therefore,
I think that's probably quite a good comparison actually, because the whole thing about like how Italians or whoever are portrayed, like the reason that you know that there's like more nuance than the stereotypes would suggest is because there's people to tell you that there's more nuance than the stereotypes would suggest, whereas nobody from back then is still alive. It's like, yeah, you can see how it becomes like such a trope, but yeah, it's just something that for me it makes it less interesting.
Don't understand why.
Emmanuel, you have your hand up. What's up?
His hand up. Cool. Hello.
Emmanuel?
he's frozen in time.
He's got his hands like, he's like, wait a second.
He's been eaten by AI.
Oh. Oh shit, man. Just, talking about that, I've had the idea for fucking like Snowpiercer poster because that's the first movie I chose, right? I have an idea. I just had no time to draw it out or make it. I don't want to make it on AI because I think I've tried to draw it by hand first, but I just like haven't had time to draw. I'm going to draw fucking like a sketch with a fucking actual physical pencil and be like, all right, take a fucking screenshot of this. Just give it to you guys. I need someone to help me finish the poster. Because you guys have actually quite done. I mean, well, mostly you, Alec, have done quite a lot of posters already, and I kind of like. I see where the context for the style is, and it's like it's quite nice. I really like the idea that you guys put in to make our own personal posters. I just didn't want my first one to be AI, so I'm just trying to take time to draw it. I might just like suck it up and just do AI drawings instead. It'd probably be easier.
You do what you need to do. Thank you very much, sir.
And is he unfrozen or is he still stuck in sticking hands up?
I think he'll have to leave to come back.
You're gonna have to go home.
Oh, he put his hand down.
See, he can cast his mobile onto his TV, but it doesn't help him any.
But okay, so what was I saying? What was he talking about? All right, yeah, this was set in Napoleon. I keep trying to say Napoleonic, but I keep saying Neapolitan nearly. And it's like, no, that's not right.
Is that why you've got a Neapolitan t-shirt?
Appropriate.
That's actually ironically right? Yeah, sorry, yeah. But no, that might be why. Yeah. Okay.
Like that when you go to Trafalgar Square.
Or the Napoleonic War time, which is like 1800s. I feel like it's just because all of that was still, as you said, it wasn't as very well connected and stuff, and it took time for it to slowly build and slowly become what it is, especially with Napoleon and what he did, and then afterwards what everyone else did for like the wars and stuff, because you still had during that time like the Holy Roman Empire, and I think that's probably a part of the thing that makes it to kind of like everyone being the sort of like style and like attitudes that they have and like the accents, because it's still very Christian. It's very oh by God and Jesus and like he's a Jonah. I go, oh wait, Jonah.
Jonah Hex.
Jonah. Oh no, he's like Jonah. Jonah, like and something about being eaten by a whale. It's a curse. I was like, oh okay, that's okay, sure. But it's like it's a thing that I feel like, again, time period wise, it makes sense because of like how they grew up. But maybe maybe because after this, when like well, after this is when they collapsed the Holy Roman Empire, and then afterwards, I think Prussia is destroyed. So like maybe it's a ever evolving history part of history. So that's probably what it is. Then afterwards, it'll be like, oh yeah, classes and stuff mix, and everything will mix better. But again, it took over like 100 years for that to happen. Yeah.
I didn't realize this was as far back as the Romans.
No, Holy Roman Empire is because Holy Roman Empire is not quite the same as Roman Empire. Holy Roman Empire is, oh fuck, how old is the Holy Roman
Wait,
Empire? It's fucking like,
what's this back? What do you mean?
no, because
Napoleon was
Napoleonic
17
Wars is 1815 is when it
Oh.
ends, but that's when like the Holy Roman Empire ends because Napoleon
okay.
Oh
destroyed
yeah, no,
Austria.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was like the Roman Empire, that's like year 100 BC or something.
No. Yeah, Holy Roman Empire is definitely just like, it's kind of like literally just like, you know, it's literally
Yeah.
just like
It's the last
the
remnants.
it's the Vatican now, essentially. But it's like, yeah, it used to be much bigger. So that's just like history. So it's like, again, I think everything changed when that started to change. And once that started to change, everyone, all the serfs, and said, actually, why do we need a monarchy? Let's not need a monarchy. And let's just kill the monarchs. And well, that's what happened. The rest is history. Literally.
That's actually kind of mad. So I didn't realize that there was some iteration of Romans around like for 1,000 years.
I don't think Romans and Holy Roman. Wait, well, I guess it is, isn't it? I don't.
Yes. So this apparently lasted for almost 1,000 years until 1806.
Oh wow, it's very easy.
Oops.
That's
Me.
That's
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
it's a very long history. One that I don't know how to answer, or I remember. I just remember little bits of it.
It's actually quite fascinating. If you look at, I'm just looking at like a map now, like how it moved across Europe.
So, and I guess, Rob, if you was to think of it like this as well, because a lot of schools were taught by like priests and nuns and stuff, so that's probably where all that sort of like education comes from. And if that's where the education comes from, that is probably how it spread and how everyone talked, because you know they got taught by the fathers and sisters and nuns and priests and stuff. So it's kind of like, yeah, that's how their education probably developed, and that's why they have their way of speaking. Even when we met the French captain or the French like guy with the speakerphone, I always think, I don't even know if it's like a megaphone. I don't even know, right? But because like he was, the way that he spoke in his French accent still seemed very British, because it's like, my dear English whalers, you need to stop or we will blow you up. But he was French, but he sounded English in the sense. And that's like, all right, maybe it's just the way that all of them were brought up, you know, in Europe. And it's just like, yeah, I guess that's probably it. That's just probably it. So it's like, historically speaking, it's correct.
Wow. I don't know, man. Europe's a big place.
Well, yeah. Europe is a bit close to each other. It's kind of a problem. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I did need to correct myself from what I said last time. I said Napoleon is technically Italian. That's also technically not correct. He lived on Corsica, which is an Italian island that was invaded by France. So it's just in time he's French. So it's like, oh, okay, so he is French. That was a misspeak on my part. He's actually French because his Italian home was invaded by France when he was born.
I must admit, like, have you seen the trailer for the new Napoleon movie?
I know I haven't really seen the trailer. All I know is a lot of people complaining. And what did he say? He says, he said, "Stop complaining. Get a fucking life. Who gives a shit?" It's like, okay.
They said it was like inaccurate in some way or another, and he was just like, "Fuck this, no, get that."
In the trailer, Napoleon talks like Joaquin Phoenix, so I was like, well, that's a bit different.
Yeah, that's just fucking Phoenix doing his thing.
It is Joaquin Phoenix.
Maybe I could do this.
Emmanuel, did you just? Oh, there he
back.
is.
Emmanuel.
I'm still trying to sort out stuff.
Did you want to say what you were going to say before you vanished?
I can't remember. Sorry. You can carry on. Sorry. I'm still trying to sort stuff out.
Oh wait, sorry. Were you talking about? I was doing paperwork. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, so they went to Galapagos, right? And they went with Paul Bettany. The Doctor character was like going with his telescope, just going like checking out. I thought it was like through that screen, through that like the camera angle or like the view of the telescope with like what you saw in the movie. It felt like we were watching Animal Planet, and I don't know if that's what they were going for. It was like, oh yes, but iguanas don't swim in water. This one does. Now this time on Animal Planet, lizards that swim. And I was like, oh yeah, that's all right. No, I really missed that show. Yeah, that's how it felt to me. I don't know. I feel like also I don't know if they were allowed. I don't know if those were actual giant tortoises or not, because I felt like they were being really rough with them. I was like, I hope they're only like puppets or CGI, because I feel like they're really grabby with the thing that's like 100 years old. I feel like it'd be very mean if they were doing that. So I was like, ugh.
Don't know.
Okay. I was worried I was muted.
Couldn't tell.
Bit.
The Galapagos turtles.
I guess there's the only one thing that I did find kind of cool. Did Emmanuel join twice, or is that another guest person?
Assuming that's Emmanuel again.
It has to be.
The only thing that I found always a bit weird is like when he was trying to fix the boat in the middle of the ocean. Where did he get all that? Did he have just like a big ample supply of wood on the boat already, and he had to fix it, or did he stop by somewhere to then afterwards go fix it? I was like always confused by that.
They would have brought like a supply of wood to replace stuff with, but then they could have gone to islands and cut trees down and that. But
yeah, because like
supplies of wood like on the ship.
Okay, because like when they went trading with like the natives and the Portuguese, I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's where they got the wood. But I was like, oh no, but that happened afterwards. So I was like, where did he? Yeah, because he was in the shallows fixing up the boat or his galley as it is, and it's like, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, where did you keep all the wood? Where's the wood? It's like, I didn't think the boat would be as big as it is, but I guess I don't know if the physics of like or the sizing of like how big those ships are. So maybe it is. It just seemed a bit odd that he didn't stop off, pick up some wood, and redo his ship, then go back. But I guess that's the way it is.
Can y'all see me okay? Or you hear me?
No,
Can
I
you?
can hear you, can't see it.
Yeah, we hear, but no see.
That's so weird. I can react. Oh, wait, that's this is annoying. Anyway, carry on.
So, did you guys actually not get the pun of the lesser of two weevils?
Oh, I did. This is one of my favourite bits.
It wasn't that Rob didn't get it. It just wasn't good enough for him. Has a certain standard.
I just wasn't into it, man.
Okay, then did you prefer
finally-
the pun
I
where?
finally like a pun. There's a pun that I actually laugh at, and he's all like, "Oh, it could have been better. It wasn't like up to my."
Okay, then did you
Just a
prefer the pun?
chair that's made out of his own brain, and he's like, well, it wasn't. Nah, could have been better.
It wasn't very punny.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean,
Let's do
let's just
two
say
people. I think that's a fucking elite pun. Like, it's way better than any just lazy, like, just, I don't know, one that Ben does. But, like, just thought it was a next level pun. Sounds good. Sounds good to the ear holes. You know what it's referencing. Excellent. Good job. No,
I feel like
not good
the
enough.
pun is very good. I wouldn't call it elite because it is stringing you along.
It's fucking elite. I don't care.
Nah, it's not. I've heard better, but that is a very good pun.
Give me a better pun.
well,
I
I mean,
can't off the top of my head.
No, you
I was
can't.
about to say because he does another pun in like later in the movie where it's like he's giving the rousing speech and it's like, yes, don't worry, men, surprise is on our side, and everyone went, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, he does it actually quite a few times, right? Yeah, okay. So it's like just that sort of captain.
Yeah. He
Hmm.
might
Kind of stuck.
have a generic accent, but he's got a top-notch sense of humour. There we go.
Speaking of accents, I'm surprised you guys don't keep the same energy with Russell Crowe as you do with Sean Connery.
Oh, Russell Crowe's
Yeah,
actually
I
a good actor.
Huh?
I said Russell Crowe's actually a good actor.
Yeah, I agree. He's
get
a
the
good
same
actor.
energy though.
But using his same old accent didn't
Oh, I
seem
mean,
to get.
Russell Crowe has more than one accent. That's another reason. I feel like if you
I don't think that's a good excuse.
I feel like if you gave him a Spaniard to play, he'd give it his honest. He might not be good at it, but he'd give it an honest shot. Whereas Sean Connery would go, I'll just speak normally. But yeah, I often like am very aware that it is Russell Crowe I'm looking at, but not with this one. Jack's got a lot of dimensions to him, and I think he's quite. I think like the opening scene's really nice for that when Hollum sort of sees he sees like a shape in the mist, and he like rouses the troops and everyone, and he comes running out and he's like, okay, what is it? Saw a shape in the fog, and he's like, okay, did anyone else see a shape in the fog? And he's like, nah, and he's like, right, and he's got his telescope, and you can see he looks irritated, but he's also kind of, you can see the cogs turn, and he's like, do I fucking yell at this guy because he's wasting my time and he's riling everyone up for nothing, or do I thank him for that because it might have been something, and I don't want to discourage him from shouting out next time he sees something in case I yell at him. You can kind of just see him thinking it before he goes like, no, well done, you did the right thing. And it's like, yeah, really like that. That's a really nice little bit of acting. Nice and subtle, but you kind of, just from seeing that, you go like, he's good. He knows what he's doing. he's weighing up what the consequence of the action of yelling at him is against saying he's done a good job. Because if he says he does a good job, he'll call out more things. And it's like that's kind of what he wants. Like, really. He'd rather be wrong and waste a bit of time than yell at him and then not get the next thing called out and everyone gets killed. So it's like you got a little, you just seen him do the little calculus there, and it's like that's a really good bit of acting there. Good going, Russell Crowe. I don't like a lot of your films. Most of your films I think are shit, but you are a good actor, despite your generic accent.
You mean his New Zealand accent?
Yeah. One of them. Russell Crowe fighting around the world.
I gotta be honest, like I don't remember watching it before. My own IMDb account tells me otherwise. But I did really enjoy it. Like, obviously not as good as Gladiator, but you know, I had a good time with it. I thought the characters were really well fleshed out. The battles were pretty good. But yeah, like it's. I'm really surprised that it's a film that you like, Alec. I really am. It doesn't seem like a you film.
I'm not sure why you're saying that, to be honest, because I think the characters are very, very deep, and I really like character dynamics and that.
Yeah, it's more the tone of the film, I guess. Even like because there can be other films that have like strong characters, but I don't feel like you take to the film because of the type it is. Obviously, I get that the naval warfare wasn't like a massive thing in it. Like you had like a few really well put together scenes, but it was still very much a sort of, well, it was a naval film, wasn't it? It was just sitting there watching it. I was like, I don't understand how this is a film that he's picked. Like, I'm glad you did. Don't get me wrong. I'm just very surprised.
I'm surprised you're surprised. Because like, I don't know. I really like the stuff about like. I don't know. I think Jack's got a lot of dimensions to him, and I think you can see from his behaviour. It's not just like a one size fits all. Like he's constantly in a fight between what his duty is and how he's going to maintain order on the ship, to like being like merciful and like good, just like good to people. And you have that bit where Paul Bettany's like, you said I could walk on the fucking island, and he's like, I haven't got fucking time for your hobbies. And him having but that's it. When Paul Bettany gets shot, and then he has the choice between pursuing the ship or saving Paul Bettany, and he's like, oh fuck. And I absolutely love that is repaid in kind, because he takes him onto the island, and then Paul Bettany's like, oh cool, I can fuck about on the island for a bit. And then he sees the ship and he's like, oh shit. Because Jack's been good enough to let him do what he wants. And he's like, it's a lovely odd couple film, but it's just kind of like, I need to help Jack with this actually. And it's like, I don't know, just that sort of stuff, and just seeing like, you know, just Jack, him and Jack have they have interests, like they play music together. Jack has a bunch of stories from all like his younger days. He's got a sense of humor. He you know, he's always going through like history and everything. Like, you know, he just feels like such a real person to me. And I think that there'd be like, if you were doing the Horatio Nelson biopic, there'd be such a temptation to not do that and to idolize him and that. But instead it's like kind of a commentary on how that idolization works, and then especially in context with Jack, because people I think are subconsciously like comparing him to Horatio Nelson, and he kind of starts believing it, and then you have Paul Bettany there going like, you need to rein yourself in because don't start thinking you're Horatio Nelson. And like him listening to Paul Bettany is what allows him. Ultimately, I don't really care about the genre of a story or the period of a story or whatever. I just think it's a really well crafted, very character driven plot, and that's I don't know that the rest of it's sort of just kind of superficial to me. I think it's a really good story, and
That's fair enough.
it's not the most exciting. It's not the most like. There's not a lot of naval warfare. There's a lot of just we're trying to survive in the weather. But, like, I think that's stuff, but like you have like all these quiet moments, very human moments where they're all just kind of on the ship and they're all just hanging out, and a lot of the time like there's not stuff happening, but they're trying to fill that silence and like have interactions with each other, and that's the stuff that I really fucking like. Like they've got this big overarching mission, and it's like, what's the next step? What's the next step? And it's like, we're just sailing for the next bit. There's not a lot of wind actually.
I do like
It's just
how
so British.
because of recent events with the casting for Napoleon, it is quite interesting how the careers of Russell Crowe and
What?
what's his face,
Joaquin.
Joaquin Phoenix has sort of mirrored each other now, where they're both together in Gladiator. One's decided to do a film in the Napoleon era, and the other one is now recently casted as Napoleon. So they've sort of kept their character traits as well.
And now Russell is the Commodus. Thanks, Emmanuel.
But that was like the first thing that sort of popped into my head when I was watching it. I was like, oh fucking hell, it. And obviously it's not an intentional thing, but I thought it was quite a funny twist of fate, I guess.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't know. I just I can't picture like other films about. I don't know. I think I can picture like a lesser version of this where it's mostly ship fighting, and I can't picture that film going to the Galapagos Islands and having like an elongated sequence where someone's just walking around dressed like a scarecrow, basically. Like I just. I can't imagine one where like someone getting shot like completely derails the whole film, and I have to like sit it out a bit. Like I don't know. I think nowadays films are like very scared of having like those very long, intimate like scenes of people having a conversation. I feel like films don't like doing that anymore, and I think that's why I really like this.
Big studio films, anyway.
Yeah. Well, hey, this catapulted me into the over the billion mark. So.
Who was the studio?
Miramax.
Harvey Weinstein.
Ah, good.
But it's Fox and Universal own it.
So Disney as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Harvey Weinstein and Disney, eh?
This was 150 grand. This was as much as Soul was.
150 grand.
50 million.
Wait, what?
150 grand, yeah.
Be the cheapest film of all time.
Well, no. I think that still goes to Rob's other film. Was it the fucking like sci-fi one?
Alien.
No, Rob's. Rob,
Yeah,
what the fuck? Dark Star. That's it.
Yeah, no,
That's
this is tied sixth for like our most expensive film.
I think
Oh,
Rob
damn.
is zoned out.
He's definitely zoned out. We're not talking about period accents, so he's gone.
In any case, so I feel like a lot of the quiet moments, as you guys are talking about, are some form of like character development. But I feel like a lot of the quiet moments, usually in sea, are full of like sea shanties. I didn't hear as many as I could have. I heard only like 2, to be honest. And I was like, there should be a little bit more. Maybe they're not pirates and stuff. Maybe that's why. But like, I feel there should be a little bit more singing. I don't know why.
I'm
feel like
very,
it kind of-
I'm very glad. I find sea shanties quite irritating.
Aw,
Everyone
never
thinks
mind.
brilliant. I think
I think the only ones I really like are the ones in the ones in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They have some really good ones in, but they are more Norse in like inspiration. So obviously they're going to be quite different from the classic English. But yeah, I quite like the ones in.
Okay. Fair enough. It just reminds me because like Skarsgård, if he did he played, what was he playing? He was playing Outer Worlds. Did you see the guy who does the space sea shanties or space shanties? And I was like, oh yeah, because like there's like a quest line for it, and I was like, oh yeah, these are actually kind of interesting to hear. And I was like, oh, weird, but it kind of still fits like the theme of like discovering new worlds and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, it fit very well thematically. I was like, oh, maybe we could see more like in this film. But I was like, it could be a little bit more because I feel like it fits again thematically. But I guess maybe they didn't need like a whole production team just to go, okay, I keep the tempo. 1, 2, 3. I was like, okay. Yeah. But that's my opinion then, I guess.
On a separate note, can y'all hear me okay?
yeah, we can still hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, my internet connection sucks.
It's just your video.
Yeah, was it
Video,
ever,
we can hear you fine.
Yeah.
was my video ever this bad in the past?
It's better now, to be fair.
I always thought that's why you kept your video off. I thought you just having the video and sound would made it a bit shit.
Yeah, but I wanted to try.
Yeah, Ben, you've been very quiet.
It's good.
I know it's you.
I mean, all I can say is that I like it in a similar vein to how you like it, because it's one of those films that it doesn't sacrifice action for character, and it does a good job of like highlighting the 2 leads of Captain Jack and Dr. Stephen. Is that his name?
Mhm.
I think their relationship and their performances hold the film together and make it a bit more different than your usual like swashbuckling epic. And it kind of like draws you in, and I kind of love the fact that both characters have their own like reason to being on the ship, and the reason why they do what they do and stuff like that. And I really appreciate the Doctor's kind of like, his love was nature. His love was like discovering new species and stuff and going to a foreign land and just exploring. That's what he was there for. That was what he wanted to be on the ship for, even though he was good at being a surgeon and good at being a doctor saving lives. His real passion was zoology, and that's what he wanted to do. And he could tell that whenever they fought and whenever there was like this tension in the air, he was always like, that was under the surface, is that I love what what I do, saving lives, but this isn't my real passion here. So that was such an interesting idea, that you have this guy on the ship that is only there for reasons that you wouldn't expect, and the fact he found kinship with the kid. I can't remember his name, but he was great. How the relationship he had with him, and the bond, and how they bounced off each other was really quite really nice. And yes,
I
So-
did really like all of that, and that was why I think it's not a flag Shaggy film,
mhm.
because if you know there's two main, I don't want to call them children, but there's two like very young actors there, and one of them really all his scenes are sort of like buying into Jack as a person, or like not as a person, as like kind of like as a myth kind of thing, and he's like really interested in, I don't know, he's really bought into like the cult of personality of Jack Aubrey. And then you get the amputee kid, and he also really admires Jack, but he is a lot more aligned with Stephen.
Mhm.
And he's drawing stuff, and he's joining him on the expedition and all that. And I think it's really interesting that the kid who models himself after Jack is the one that dies, whereas the one who models himself after Stephen is the one that lives.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I was like, that's really fucking neat. I really like that.
Yeah, the both kids who are really quite interesting, and it is quite telling how like they loved them as what they were on the ship for, their profession. At the same time, they found kinship in what their passions were really, and I think another thing I liked how the film ended in all through the through line through for the film was that their passion for music as well, which was kind of left unsaid really. They just kind of like just enjoyed playing violin and cello together, and I really liked that too, because they just had this talent and they just had this love for music as well as their other loves and the other thing. I think all these things like mixing together. They're just like these people that just kind of like, yeah, we're just good friends, but we're professionals, but at the same time we have these things in common, and that's something interesting and something that you don't see in a film like this.
Yeah. I think it's good though, because I think you're kind of seeing like mini Jack and mini Stephen. Like that's kind of how that might have been how they met, kind of thing. But yeah, I like how these two ideologies are always like in flux with each other. And it's about your duty to your country, and also sort of like your, I don't know, I don't call it duty to the world, but like, yeah, just duty to science, like almost. You know, and he wants to see all like these other species and that. And then I think that's what's so cool about when Jack then buys into it, and he's like, "Oh, your phasmid that disguises itself as a stick, we will now disguise our ship as a whaler." And it's like,
Oh,
It's-
that was a disappointment. Yeah.
it's such a nice little
Gets
interplay.
inspired by real life things that he encounters. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's real neat.
I mean, like the only other side of that story would be like, okay, let's instead dress ourselves up as a giant turtle and we'll pretend to be a giant turtle going over. That's not the other idea. Like, are you sure that's what you wanted? Yeah, that's what I wanted. Look like a giant turtle. And we just go over there, we look like a giant turtle. Okay, sure. That's the only like ultimate history version of it. That would have been perfect.
Oh man. Another thing, sorry. Do you guys hear any crackling in the like sound?
No,
Yeah, it's my phone has so many issues right now. What's this? Anyway, um, was I gonna say? Like overall, I thought it was decent. Eh, sorry, and kind of like how I think other people have said, it was interesting at points like when he was just talking about, oh, there's the other animals, different species, and then he thinks he sees the bird, and then he's just like, oh crap, yeah, that's not good. That's Chip. Okay, we need to get back. And it's just like, oh, they're like seeing natural life, naturalists in the making. So it made me laugh. I was just like, the captain, he's got some issues. they kept being like, oh man, the ship, you crazy trying to go after this ship. Let's just go home. Like we this ain't realistic. No, we will make it. And then like he keeps saying the same thing, but it's out of our class. And then later on, the doctor's just like, he realizes, wait, they weren't just being scaredy cats. My friend actually is being a bit crazy, dude. This we need to stop doing this. Like, no, you shouldn't say pride. No. Well, seems a little bit reckless. And then he turns around and be like, but we should go on a Galapagos Island. You don't have priorities in the right place either. Both of y'all need to go home. This is why you're friends.
This sounds like a very compelling anime. I won't lie.
Well, I mean, also there's like the other guy who was like one of the lieutenants was like, no, we should go to the Galapagos Island so we can restock and like pull some of the turtles for some like good eating. And I was like, did you just seriously just want us to go over there and just go, oh yeah, I mean, let's go over there, refuel and get some lunch, then we can go after them first. And I was like, that's a bit just a bit weird. because the reason I say this because he's got the scene later with for his character, right? And he's got like because he's wounded and he saw the ship and he's like trying to get back to like their ship, and there's like, fuck it, just release all the animals here. I don't want to take them back. I don't want people like afterwards just gonna start eating on all these lizards and iguanas and shit. It'll be a whole thing. Just let them loose. Just seeing it, and I was like, oh, I guess that's quite nice of the Doctor as well. But it's just like
he doesn't do it because of that.
Yeah, he does do that. He's like, oh, let's do it because we don't want to, because it's still it's a question of like they will fully eat those turtles and stuff. And like, yeah, it looks like some good eating. It's like, maybe don't do that.
Yeah, did you all like seeing Humphrey in film? I know Ben did.
I could see him there. He's just like so disgruntled and annoyed to be there that he's doing his job.
Yeah, Mr. Killick, I think, is Humphrey. Just it was just like little stuff where he was just going like, and an extra ration of grog for you. And he's just like, I was saving that for
Wait, is Mr. Killick the chef? Or one of the like
hands? I was saving it for saluting day. And he's like, "Oh, should drink wine?" He's like, "Oh yeah, wine on saluting day."
Wine saluting day. Yeah. He was guys. Mr. Killick, is it ready? It's ready when it's goddamn ready. And I was like, oh yeah. He's absolutely it's great. I didn't remember his name. Yeah,
We're gonna do this, Mr. Killick. He's like, all right.
It was just annoyed at everything. And he's like, we're gonna do this. All right, just give me a minute.
Any favourite scenes amongst any of you guys?
Let me.
Yeah.
You could sound happier about it.
No, I'm just really tired. It probably is the pun, to be fair. just because now I've every time I think about it, inside I combust. because like when I watched the film, I was really tired, so I must have laughed watching it and then completely forgot about it until we went next day, and then I was like, oh, I better YouTube it just to see what I've missed. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. I laughed at that, and now it's just been ingrained in my head ever since.
It just it just catches me every single time. I told it in the pub.
But it's quite telling that it's probably mine and Ben's favourite scenes, considering we live for puns.
Puns are good.
It's
That is true.
mine because I fucking hate puns, but I like that one.
Yeah, but it's one of my favourite scenes. Not gonna lie. But apart from that, I suppose it's just like, yeah, it's just the sequence with the Jack and the Doctor just wondering any of them would work fine. But I think the bit where they kind of get angry at each other about the whole situation of what they're in and the dire consequences of it all, and the Doctor just really wants to go to the Galapagos and get off the boat and explore and stuff, but and Jack's like, no, we've got this to do. We've got the French to conquer, basically. We haven't got time for like exploring.
You can relate to.
um,
He's like, I want to shoot the
but yeah.
shit out of these French, and you're like, yeah, you know what, man.
Yeah, there's no arguing about that. That's yeah, that scene very good. Yeah, and just even like the sequence where it's probably a really horrible sequence, but the point where the Doctor has to kind of like saw off the kid's arm.
Oh yeah,
that was so horrible. But you can see the compassion and remorse he has to do it, because in those days they had no choice when something happened to a limb. But at the same time, it's still like, yeah, the fact they still remained best friends despite that just shows you how much trust they had with each other.
you cut off my arm, you.
You fiend. Yeah, just great.
I think that's something I really like about this film. Like they really don't linger on injury detail. It's all like stuff that's implied, but it's just kind of when the Doctor's sort of like doing surgery on himself, and all the time it's happening, we're not focusing on the injury. We're focusing on the faces, because all the faces are going, "Oh, jeez!" And you're kind of just getting everything that you need in them, and it's like, yeah, because that's the thing. I shouldn't be feeling squeamish from seeing a kid like just, I don't know, bite through that little bit of, but because of the context of everything that's happening, and I'm not seeing it, and I've only got his face to work on. That's so horrible. That's just such an uncomfortable scene to watch. But it's just a kid biting down on something, and it's like, that's really impressive. Like I'm like tense. I'm like, oh, stop it.
I guess that is actually one of those like scenes that are actually quite good to see beforehand, when he was doing the surgery on the guy with like the fracture on his head, and they're all of them were all crowded around going, oh, what the fuck is happening right there? Like, oh yeah. Like, oh, is he scooping out his brain there? No, that's just some dried blood. No, this is his brain. And they all went, oh, and he goes after you there. And they're like, oh, gross, what the fuck? Then afterwards, but it was even more funnier when the guy, one of the legends, is like, all right, you lot, get back to fucking work. And it's like, then afterwards he was like, oh, what the fuck is that? And he like fucking like probably leaned in. It's like, oh Christ. I was like, oh yeah, something about it. It's like very it made them all very human, in the sense that it's like, all right, I guess because these are things that wouldn't be typically seen by like, you know, people of the time, and it's just like, what the fuck is? Oh, it's amazing to see, and it's because of that it makes it better for the characters.
These are the scenes I'm talking about where, like, these are people who obviously they weren't real, but like in the context of this, these are people who are like they predate us by like 200 years, and there's just so many little human moments where like some guy's just like trying to get people working. He's like, "All right, you lazy fuck, get out of there!" And he like sees it, and he's like, "What the fuck is that?" And like it's just stuff like that. There's nothing like happening, but like the physician's doing some surgery on the boat. He's doing actual brain surgery, and everyone's like, "I need to fucking see this." Like, it's shit like that. I really like stuff like that because you know even stuff like the dialect and the accents and that like they kind of fall by the wayside for me because I'm seeing people. That might be just an illusion, I guess, but like I feel like I'm seeing real people in these scenarios that happened 200 years ago, and I'm like, yeah, they were still. It reminds me of that picture. I don't know if you've seen it. There's like a picture of like a Victorian portrait being taken, and you know a lot of Victorian portraits are people looking very somber and very bored and very very proper, and then there's and it's because they had to wait so long for the photo to happen. But like there was one that they captured where it was like a Victorian couple. And
Is
like
it the farm? Is it the old farmer and his wife?
No. It's just a couple, but like they had like a bit of a faster camera, and you could see them. You could see you got like some little snapshots where they got a bit bored, and the husband started like tickling his wife, and she's going like "fucking stop it," and like they're both just having a laugh, and like you can see him just laughing while this photo's developing and stuff, and it's just I don't know, like you obviously when you think of Victorian people, you have this disconnect, but then you kind of see something like that, and it's just a little human moment of like, oh, he just thought he'd just tickle her just like a funny, and it's I'm gonna find it now. Hang on, keep talking. It's stuff like that.
My favorite scene, I think there's two. So one where they're both playing music, the cello and the violin. I thought that was just nice between two friends. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, was it? The scene where they see the animals for the first time on the Galapagos Island and talking about different species and what they're doing and stuff. I thought that was cool. I think one of the most impactful ones. Oh, that's cool. That picture. Good.
You get what I mean.
Yeah.
I have seen that picture.
One of the most impactful ones that when the guy who felt like he was cursed, Humley, I forgot his name, who jumped off the ship.
Gollum.
I was thinking Gollum. Anyway, so,
I know he looked sickly.
My
Well,
precious.
Well, no, look, Pippin was there, right? But that wasn't Pippin, right? Just get your head out of there.
but yeah, it's like I was like, oh, he's definitely not fine, but okay. And then he picked up the ball, and I'm thinking, why is he picking up this ball? And then I wait, no, he's not. It's a realization, and then slowly he's like getting himself together, and then jumps off. I'm like, nah, dude, no. Because he did that, there's probably other people like the other kid probably ended up dead because like he should have died, but the younger kid ended up dying because he had to take his place. Oh man. The scene I disliked the most or the moment I dislike the most. It's when that dumb guy who can't freaking shoot, who can't freaking aim, shot the doctor. The doctor was on the freaking boat. Why are you shooting down the boat? Like he wasn't hanging off the ship. I could imagine, understandably, maybe his hand gets hit through, or gets grazed or something, because his hand was on the ropes. No, his body was still on the ship. Why are you? If he didn't hit the doctor, he would have hit someone behind him. Like the guy can't aim. And then afterwards, he's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna be one of the people who helps, shoot people after." It's like, you can trust that guy to aim at anything. Good luck.
Never seen a more.
Maybe he's just
Never seen a more
good at
British.
shooting people.
Is this Emmanuel telling us he hates Star Wars?
Nice, nice.
Oh,
But
that's a
actually,
good one.
that actually did lead up to like one of my almost a favorite scene, but it's a scene that made me think of it's just pure comedy, because I think they did. It's the same sort of joke they did in The Simpsons. Is where he had the other guy who wasn't a physician, but is like one of his like helping guys. Like, can you help him? Yeah, all right, but I need to look at some pictures first. Some pictures? Yeah. I need to like study his books and like have a quick go about it, right? because you see like pictures of like human cadavers and stuff. It's like, okay, so if I do it like this, maybe I like this. It reminds me of the scene in The Simpsons where they go to the sushi restaurant and they order fugu, and it's just like, oh, okay. The guy's checking the book. He's like, okay, poisonous fish. Tasty fish, and he has to do that. And I was like, oh, it's absolutely perfect. It fits the sort of like thematics of how that would be, because obviously afterwards when Paul Bettany's on Gap's Island, he's like, yeah, I'll just take the needle and just do it myself. I don't. Yeah, you just give me just hold the mirror very straight and I'll do it myself. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's probably my favorite scenes, because it's a more funnier scene in the movie that's a bit more serious. So it's like, oh yeah, it's more calmer moments, I guess.
Actually, talking about that, a bit of random trivia, but related. Does anyone know a story of a guy who actually did that for real on like an American Navy ship? He did.
Shot someone.
No, he was the doctor, but he wasn't trained, and he was desperately, before this like major surgery to save people's lives, he was down in some room by himself reading books and looking at pictures. Literally. Long story short, eventually this guy got caught, but he was someone who joined the kind of American Navy. He's a famous fraudster.
He was faking being a doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was faking being a doctor, and he's a famous fraudster, like way back when. And oh my, like the kind of stuff he did and people he operated on, and he did not know what the crap he was doing, but he looked at lots of pictures beforehand. It was mad. But yeah.
I mean, I guess the question I can ask is, did they die though? Did they survive?
Some survived,
Oh.
and many died.
That's not
Okay.
a question. Fucking hell.
I mean, it's like, I mean, if you think of like, oh yeah, he's a fake doctor.
Did anyone die when this unqualified doctor was just poking around?
No. It would have if the answer was no. Actually, most of them survived.
Fine, I guess it's fine, isn't it?
I mean, if they survived, yes, but because they died, no.
Yeah, I mean the times he would like sometimes he'd have to pull out people's teeth and stuff as well. It was mad.
Okay, that's different. That's fuck.
This guy. There was one time when tons of people were just going down. And it's like, doctor, we need you. We need you. He's like, I'm coming. Just give me a few minutes. And he's sweating buckets, like in this room by himself, like, let me look through this book. Let me look through this book. Just like, what's going on?
I'll just Google it.
Basically.
I'll get the AI to do it.
Oh man. Too funny. Anyway.
Is Rob alive?
Maybe.
I think he's probably not.
No. He
Let's
lost
say maybe we
Rob.
should be sadder about that.
If Rob's not here, we don't know what the film is, do we?
Oh yeah,
not-
yeah, because
Did
It's-
it be?
It's my pick.
No,
Oh,
it's
Emmanuel does know.
No, it's
Yeah.
Emmanuel's pick.
It is Emmanuel. Okay.
Yeah, it was just that it was confusing because obviously on Monday he said, "Oh yeah, I'd like to do mine." It's like, okay, and then he didn't tell me directly. He changed his mind. He might have said it in the chat, but obviously I wasn't around in the chat. So I was just like, "Oh crap, I gotta try and remember what it was." I eventually found it, so yeah, it's okay. But yeah, we can carry on.
It's Antichrist 2.
Don't even joke.
Antichrist 2, Electric Bloody Lou.
Oh no.
Oh man, that
That
was
was the only thing
nice.
that film was missing, actually.
What?
An electric bloody Lou.
Yeah.
Oh man, I quite like my poster, so it was quite accidental. I wasn't trying to go for that on purpose, but just some bloody scissors with guts around it. I was like, you know what? That's pretty good.
The image itself is good. I don't know about the font, but
I did
Was
it
the
on my
scissors
phone.
rusty?
Mm,
Oh.
Not quite.
yeah, I think you should probably look at the font again. But
I didn't. I had font that was closer to the actual film poster, but I didn't like it.
yeah, I find this one hard to read.
That's okay. You know what it is.
Yeah,
That's
I know it is.
That's the main point. It don't
Oh.
matter.
No biggie. Jesus. I'm just looking at these scores, Emmanuel. You fucking rinsed me. No
You're
need.
welcome.
Thanks. Yeah. Good.
Oh man, I'm bad at this.
Yeah, I agree. You are bad at scoring things.
No, putting on screen protectors. Yeah, I don't know how to do this any better. Anyway. So, you can carry on. What were y'all saying?
Wait, who hasn't done favorite scenes?
I think we all have now, apart from Rob. But Rob's,
Comatose.
yeah.
And just like any other like final thoughts or like final statements?
Nah.
Oh, all right. Well, sorry. I think it's a really cool little film, and you know, it's probably not the most like exciting thing ever, but I think there's like a lot of character going into it. There's lots of dimensions going into it. Can you imagine being Hollum, where everyone thinks he's the Jonah and he's walking through the ship, and everyone's like saluting him, but just all making like incredible eye contact with him, like you know, I can't picture something more scary where you're on like a big bit of wood and there's nowhere you can go. Like stuff like that. And I don't know. I love all of that thing where Paul Bettany's going like, "What the fuck is this?" And Jack's like, "They won't tolerate a Jonah," and he's going like, "What are you talking about now?" And he's like, "It's not all in your books." Like it's you know, sailors are very super fucking stitious. I really like the bit where he has to give the guy the lashings, even though he's someone who helped him out, killing his own friend essentially, like leaving his own friend out to sea. And Paul Bettany's like, yeah, you're a fucking dick, and he's just like, do you think I like this? He was insubordinate. I don't want to punish him, but I have to. Like, it's not something he wants to do after helping him kill his own mate, but like, you know, just shite like that. I think there's so many there's a lot you get a lot of dimensions out of Jack Aubrey's character in this, and yeah, I think it's a lot. I think the film's a lot denser than I think people realise. And I'm not just saying that because I want a higher score. I generally think it's like it's a very I think it's a very deep film. I think there's a lot happening there, and I think the fact that it's about something that English people generally it's like a period English people generally idolize, and they generally go like, oh yes, and then we defeated Napoleon, old Boney, where like I think the fact that it kind of looks at that stuff and it goes like, it was shit actually, it was really shit. And my main character is a guy who's like, oh yes, oh no, we'll just blow old Boney away. And they go like, you like him, but he's also a cock. And him buying into the fact he's a cock is something that Paul Bettany goes, mate, you're being a cock. You should look at some stick insects instead. Get some humility in you. These turtles have massive heads. There you go. And he goes, you know what? Yeah, I was being a cock. I've now seen these turtles have massive heads, and these stick insects can disguise themselves as sticks to avoid their predator. You're right. You're right, Paul Bettany. Maybe I should stop being such a cock. I think like framing this source material and just looking at sort of like something that's generally kind of seen as like this whole period of just British heroism, and going like, actually, maybe we should have taken another look at this. Maybe we should assess this with a little bit more criticality and all that. Like I think that's all stuff that the film's doing, and I really don't think it's fair to just refer to it as just like another period piece. I think it's something that's got a lot of thought behind it, and I think it's something that's very critical of British culture and how British people frame their heroes. I think that's such a big part of this, and yeah, I think it's a lot denser than people give it credit for. But that's me on it. Emmanuel, what's your film? Unless no one else has anything.
It was interesting. Like before this, I didn't know the film existed. Honestly, I mean that's the same case for a lot of films. But I guess that's how like when it came out, we would have been around, or most of us would have been around 13. Kind of an interesting time. That was it. Does anyone know the like the true story was based off of.
I don't think it
What's
was
the-
based
the
off a
film?
true story.
I think I thought it was based off a series of books.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
it's-
It was
but
the
I
book.
don't think the books are based on the true story as well. So I don't know if that's it's like it's like up in the air. I'm not sure. I didn't do a background check.
well, I don't know about any books, but in terms of the film itself, it wasn't. Well, it got it from the books or whatnot. It was inspired from a true story where basically so the events were slightly different order and swap the French for the Americans. So instead of 1805, where this film took place, the events actually took place in 1813. Long story short, the Americans had some kind of new type of vessel. It was more of an experimental, and it was specialized. It had a commander who was quite different from like the usual American Navy type commanders, captains, whatnot, and how he did things and whatnot. And the ship was mainly for raiding whalers. So they were raiding a whole bunch of whalers. I think they was getting like they was doing stuff in like Britain's territory time because obviously they occupied certain things. I think in Africa or different places along the continent. And it was just like, nah, this can't go. We need to hunt down what was called the USS Essex at the time, an American vessel, who was hunting these whalers and raiding them. So they sent two British ships, the Phoebe and the Cherub, like that, after them. So they tracked down the Essex. They first they did cross the Galapagos Islands. And after they passed those islands, and maybe they chilled them for a bit, or just like stopped for a short bit, they caught up with them, but they caught up with them in Chile, like off the coast of Chile, in a port that was neutral, so they couldn't fight each other. So for 6 weeks, they just chilled in Chile, like cussing each other verbally. And like it was a stalemate because no one wanted to try and run away first, otherwise they'd be screwed. But then the Americans were just like, this is the night. So they tried to make a break for it. And some other people like stayed like in part of the island to divert them, doing all like fireworks and all sorts of things and like fire and blast and stuff. But the British were like, we know what you're up to. So they kind of cornered them. And what's quite interesting is that um the American vessel, it was like I said, it was specialized, but the cannons on it were actually very short range cannons, unlike the usual stuff. So, ironically, unlike this film flipped it on its head. So the Americans couldn't actually shoot back at the British, and the British are the ones who actually had the longer range cannons. So even though the American vessel, if you was up close, you had no chance of winning because it was specialized at just like getting up close to you and then blasting you to smithereens. The British literally just like kept at a distance and kept firing at them for like 2.5 hours until the Americans surrendered. And they're just like, okay, cool, we're gonna bring you back to England now. All right. And then that was the end of the story. They also brought the top mast down. That was something that happened. They brought the top mast down of the American ship, event like right at the beginning before the 2.5 hours of just like bombardment. He just kept getting pelted without being able to do anything back. But yeah, that was the actual story. Just it's a bit different, but you can see that it wasn't as exciting. It's slightly different. But I get why they did what they did here, and I'm glad that they didn't say based on a true story. Because they didn't even say inspired. Um, so I think in that way it helped show that they just really wanted to make an interesting naval film. Film at sea with some guys and get to know them. I don't care. Some people die. Yeah.
I actually what is that? It might be based off of a real story, but like I think it is actually based off like a series of books. So I don't know if that's a credit to the writer for predicting something that occurred later or what. But
Yeah, you know what's interesting about Emmanuel's story there? That basically that incident that Emmanuel was talking about also inspired another book, which was became Moby Dick, because the ship called the Essex was a whaling ship, and it encountered many things, including a very large whale that went on to inspire the story, and the whole captain being like obsessed with this whale that they could not catch was kind of like the inspiration for that. So this ship has been around a lot, and it kind of inspired a lot of legendary pieces of work. So I can understand that.
Nice. It's also
Interesting.
interesting. I don't know what museum it's in, but it's in a museum in England, the Essex ship, like the original one they chased down and brought back to England. But
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Should I say
What?
my film? Huh?
Yes. What was your film?
My film is, and maybe some of you have actually seen it, but whatever. It's called The Handmaiden.
Okay.
Oh, well, this is not the series; it's the film.
Yeah, the film.
Yeah.
How who has seen it?
No, but I just kind of know about it.
wait,
I haven't seen this as usual. Things. My next pick after this.
you know what? I was about to say, can I assume it's the Korean one? I feel like I know the answer to this.
Is it the 2016 one, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, post the link, but I think it must be like the one by Park Chan Wook.
Yeah. The same guy did Old Boy.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Great
Right.
guy. But yeah, I saw
Sorry guys, I'm gonna go because I'm about to fall asleep.
that's all right.
That's all right.
All right, see you later, guys.
The next pick after this, I'm gonna try and watch it before because I want to pick something else next time, but I'm not sure about it. So I'm actually gonna try and watch it before I actually pick the next one. But yeah, hopefully this is interesting. It sounds interesting, but we'll see how it goes. I really know nothing about this. But yeah.
Oh, wait. I got slightly confused because the Handmaiden is about a Japanese heiress, sorry, but it's made by made by the Koreans.
Yes, but it's
Ah,
it's in
You can't call them the Koreans.
it's Korean occupied sorry, it's Japan occupied Korea. I think
that makes a lot more sense.
yeah,
That makes it.
at point in time. So yeah, it was occupied by the Japanese at the time.
Oh,
So
that's a touchy subject in itself. Okay. Is it usual places to find it? Yeah.
oh, let me actually check. Sorry, because I wasn't like prepared to actually pick this properly. It was kind of in a rush to find it. What is it? The Handmaiden. So you can either there's quite a few places. So going through just all the ones, you can either use BFI's kind of subscription. If you haven't, you can get a free thing there. Curzon as well has like a subscription thing you can do free through Amazon as well. Filmbox Plus, or just on Amazon Video, Amazon Prime kind of thing. Apple TV, Chili. You can rent it on Sky Store if you want to do that. Rockin' to TV, YouTube. I mean, you can get it lots of places.
Okay.
So, Alec, you've got lots of options if you can hear to watch it. But yeah, I'll do a post on.
Wait.
It's on Apple TV.
Is it on fucking Amazon?
It is.
Cool.
It's Amazon on multiple forms, BFI, Curzon. It's on so many places, basically.
Cool. As long as it's not Apple fucking TV, that's okay.
But yeah,
There- Oh, take care, man.
I like your shirt.
Oh,
Right.
thanks.
Bye.
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 Yeah, I'll be off now too, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night.